Quickly, we'll be delving into the incident that happened at Tema, where 2 people lost their lives when they got to the celebration of the Plejo. We will be speaking to Nana Yao Akwada. He's Executive Director, Bureau of Public Safety, and Peter Lanchene Tobu. He is the Superintendent of Police, retired, and MP for Wa West. We have both of them on phone, and we'll be having a conversation with them. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
Hello, you're welcome. Is this Nanea Akwada or Peter?
Good morning, Nanea. How are you doing?
Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. So I'm sure you've both followed this story that has made the headlines in the last couple of days. What do you make of it? Let me start with you, retired Superintendent of Police. Of course, you've been in the security space. Some of these things happen. Events are going on. There's a confrontation between civilian, military, and then this happens. What do you make of the stories you've heard so far?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our cherished viewers and listeners. Civil or civilian-military relations or civilian-military cooperation is a very important area to any army. The Ghana Armed Forces, that has earned a name for itself internationally, is a force that we respect and we are proud of as Ghanaians.
Yeah.
But as it grows in numbers, and the role of the military is gradually changing in the world because we don't really have enough wars to put our military to the war front. Several things do happen.
Okay.
What happened in Tema? You have soldiers having a scuffle with civilians, ordinary civilians who were on a procession. And the procession is qualified as a public event.
Yes.
It's a special event covered under the Public Order Act, and that is why you had the policemen who were around there to provide them with security.
Yeah.
When you have find soldiers in such an environment, that was the wrong environment for us to find soldiers. But that notwithstanding, every soldier, in other words, every person in uniform wielding a gun, is taken through international humanitarian law.
Yeah.
And there is a reason why our soldiers, or soldiers in general, are being trained and retrained on the weapon. It is to reduce errors and enhance precision. When you hold the weapon, you should understand that at any point in time that you are pressing the trigger, you have to be justified.
Okay.
When you disobey the instructions of a soldier, of course, he will point a gun at you. If you go into a restricted zone, and it is written there, this is a restricted zone, please don't cross. If you cross that restricted zone, you are likely to attract gunfire. But if a soldier points a gun at you, that is a level of force. That is not fatal.
Okay.
It only becomes fatal depending on the reaction of the civilian who is on the other side of the gun.
Okay.
Now we find people who are suicide bombers and they appear as civilians. But in the particular situation in Tema, Newtown, it is clear that these were young people who were out there on a festival celebration which has annually been going on.
Yeah.
The threat level, of course, was very low. And as I was saying, those soldiers who were found on the scene, of course, we expected that they have been taken to the basics of international humanitarian law, covering areas like the principle of humanity. You are dealing with human beings, and you are equally a human being.
Yes.
The fact that you are wearing the uniform doesn't make you a Superman. The notion of necessity. Understand, anything you do, you have to ask yourself the question, what I'm going to do, is it really necessary?
All right.
You should also, let me just conclude on this first submission. The principle of proportionality is something that every soldier is taught. The force that you want to use, is it proportional to the kind of resistance that you are receiving? These are things that are taught soldiers.
Yeah.
And when things of this nature happen, we go back to the basis and find out, was the soldier right or the civilians were wrong? Where did we get it wrong? And that is where investigations come in. Until the investigations are out, for us to confirm that, oh, the gunshot that was sounded at the procession was actually the gunshot that killed. In other words, it should be clear that the deceased person was killed by a gunshot wound or by a bullet, then we can connect it to the gun that was shot by a soldier. Then we ask ourselves, was it necessary for you to shoot?
Okay, right. Thank you. Nanayao, so as the Executive Director of Bureau of Public Safety, I'm sure you've also followed keenly what's been happening. We've had incidents like this in the past before. You've spoken about this before. What went wrong in this situation?
Well, a very good morning to you, David, and your viewers, as well as Honorable Member of Parliament, Peter Lanchebu. David, I also would like to draw your attention to this because I know you are my mate in school. PhD is a matter of legal issue, and
yes,
you don't want me to get into trouble with the faculty and the school.
Dr. Akwada, yes.
So, thank you very much, David. So, look, whatever happened in Newtown a couple of days ago, Tema Newtown a couple of days ago, must be investigated. And I think that there is no argument about that. The point of conflict is the demonstration of force or the use of force that was applied and the consequences that we have on hand right now.
Yeah.
The question I have always asked myself, which Peter there is probably much aware because he's been on the Defense and Interior Committee a while now.
Yeah.
I think since he entered Parliament. So that question is, we have had the police force, okay, attempt to curb rioting and demonstration, and have made use of live ammunition, okay, to fire warning shots. We've had fatalities on hand. We've had injuries on hand.
Yes.
The military have done same. They've been invited into rioting, and they have issued so-called warning shots with live rounds, and it has resulted in fatalities. Today, we have the Navy
doing the same,
also involved in that same situation.
Yes.
My brother, something is gonna miss. I have been practicing. I have engaged the FBI. I have engaged other countries' police services. I do not know of any instance where security forces are dealing with civilians and they fire live rounds for warning shots.
Yeah. Doc, you know what?
If for nothing at all, if for nothing at all, David, for the consequences that we've seen in the past, we should be thinking of revising or reviewing the standard operating procedures under which we use live rounds for warning shots.
All right.
It is archaic, it is crude, it is undemocratic, and it must be expunged out of our standard operation procedures.
All right. Thank you very much.
Can you imagine, David?
Doc,
can you imagine, David?
Yes, Doc.
If the men here were the same men who were manning the Capitol in the U.S. on January 6th, how many deaths would have occurred?
Yeah. Well, Doc, we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we will have to speak on this matter later and into more detail. And thank you very much for watching Breakfast Daily today.